Hi everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening wherever you are. Yeah. So thank you very much for joining our webinar today from Mitigant, how to prepare your organization for NIS2 Directive. My name is Muhammad Sukmana. I'm the Chief Product Officer and co-founder at Mitigant today. And today's webinar is going to be really exciting as we are going to be talking about what NIS2 Directive is about. And with me today as well, we have three speakers that are going to be speaking of their expertise as well, telling as well on how you're going to be prepared for NIS2 directive. So we have today as well Florestan Peters from SoSafe, Stefan Hessel from reuschlaw, and Alexandru Vleju from adesso, Netherlands. And yeah, so before we started, I will just give a brief introduction as well of what is NIS directive, NIS2 directive, and then after that, then we're going to be hearing from our speakers today. So the NIS directive or Network Information Security Directive actually was published in by the European Union in a couple of years ago, and basically it as a response of like the number of cyber attacks that are increasing and evolving significantly over the years. And they also realize as well that like to ensure that many of the European member states and also their companies as well to be ready for this kind of cyber attacks, that the directive is actually as a response to make sure that all of the actors will be ready for the cyber attacks basically. And as you can see here that we have some staggering statistics as well. For example, like 28% of European small medium enterprises has experienced cybercrime in 2021, while recently as well, 67% of the companies are affected by ransomware attacks, and the cost of data breach in average is like 4.45 million according to IBM cost of data breach report. So therefore, as well, which is starting by 2023 as well, then the NIS directive is updated to call the so-called NIS2 directive. The idea was that the NIS directive is no longer capable of like providing the necessary incentive as well to make sure all the member states and companies as well to be more prepared against cyber attacks that are more evolving and increasing significantly over the years. And there's going to be a lot some of the updates as well for that to the previous NIS directive, such as incident reporting, cyber hygiene, security awareness, and especially focusing on the supply chain security. And so by next year, October 17, 2024, the EU member states basically has to implement the NIS directive as a national legislation, which will then in effect as well affecting many of the organizations that are going to be affected by it. And the 17th April 2025, these EU member states actually have to identify the organization that are going to be affected by NIS2 directive. So who are actually going to be affected by NIS2 directive? In essence, basically there are two sectors. One is the essential sectors, as you can see there on the left side, such as transportation, banking, financial market, health sector, and also some the new ones as well that are new, as well as the high important entities as well, such as digital providers, manufacturing, research, food industry, and post and career as well. The idea of, as well with organizations that are more than 50 employees and 10 million euro total revenue as well will be subjected to NIS2 directive. All right, so that's more or less like the very basic overview of what is NIS2 directive is now. And the first speaker is going to be talking about it is Florestan Peters from SoSafe, and he's going to be talking from the security awareness perspective. So Florestan, over to you.
Perfect. Thank you so much for the introduction. Let me share my screen and please let me know if it's working. And then I'll take you through it. Is it working?
Yes, it's working just fine.
Perfect. So welcome also from my side to today's presentation, how to prepare your organization for NIS2. I'm going to take a bit more leap on security awareness and why this is actually a relevant point other than just the compliance aspect. But also we'll match it then how does this security awareness topic in general comes together with NIS2. Just quickly about myself, my name is Florestan. I'm a field marketing manager. I've been working at SoSafe for the last 4 years-ish, so I've been around the tech space here and cybersecurity space quite a long time. I've seen many regulations coming in force in Germany or in Europe. And yeah, I'm in charge of the field marketing for the Benelux Nordics and the UKI, but also for the public sector in DACH in Germany. So much experience so far with regulations in general. Quickly about the company. If you don't know us, SoSafe is a security awareness provider, meaning we have a software solution on training and upskilling your employees in regards to security awareness threats. We have over 3,000 customers, many actually from the public sector, trusting in our solution and daily training their staff on how to be secure in the digital space. Our main differentiator in the market really is that one of the founders of the company is a psychologist by trade. So the user-centric approach is really core of everything we do, and meaning that we'll use learning psychology elements, but also whatever really brings the knowledge we have in our platform to the end user and actually change behavior. And with that, I would like to take you on a little journey on one hack that has been quite famous. So no, I don't want to promote a game here, but this picture is a screenshot from the famous game Grand Theft Auto that's been produced by Rockstar Games. And I didn't take that screenshot from the game, but actually it's been leaked through a hack. And I want to take you through the kill chain, how Lapsus really went there, and what steps they took to get into their systems. So Lapsus was quite innovative, and so it's a really interesting cybercrime story. And first attack vector was just very classic phishing and or malware. So they got through the basic firewalls and filters and the credential, and they stole some credentials. So far so good. This is not very creative or new really. It's very basic actually. It's more a bit surprising it still works. And by the way, let me say Rockstar Games is known for having top-notch cybersecurity solutions in place and a very good tech stack. So it's really not about saying that they did anything wrong here. But okay, let's go back to Lapsus. So they sent a phishing mail. They stole some credentials from one of the employees. Usually companies have MFA in place. In this case, also Rockstar Game had it in place. So the hackers had to find a way around it. What they did is MFA bombing was the first time we really saw this, or at least the first time it was really properly documented. So basically, they tried to log in with the stolen credentials and refresh the page basically as often and as quickly as they could, so that the end user whose credentials had been stolen was kind of confused about why they would get so many pings on their phones or on their second device on why is someone trying to get into the system. So what Lapsus then did is they contacted the person whose credentials have been stolen and told them something around, yes, you just have received a lot of pop-ups, right, regarding the MFA. Don't worry about it. This is an internal system problem we have. Just accept it and we'll solve it for you. The end user thought, well, perfect. Then one thing less I have to care about. And with that, they got access to the system or to the internal systems and to the network. They had access to all possible servers. I mean, they're impossible an account, right? So basically all rights that this person had, they also had. And they even messaged people on Slack internally saying that they now have to infiltrate the company, that they were going to steal something, and that that Rockstar Game has been hacked. And people thought it was just a joke, really. So what can we drive from this, and what can we learn from it? Is that hacks nowadays really involve the human factor, and that Lapsus also was quite innovative in their psychological tactics. So most steps in this hack weren't hacking technical systems, but really hacking humans, because the social engineering aspect is just so much easier nowadays than hacking people at the end of the day, hacking systems. Sorry. So we can see cyber criminals want to hack us, and they want to hack all of your employees, but how are they really doing it, and how maybe let's drive a bit into the stats. How relevant is that problem? How much do we see from it? So I'll be a bit briefer on the next two slides. We can see that 82% of all breaches demand a human element or human interaction at some point. So it doesn't have to be the first one, it doesn't have to be the last one, but at some point there's some human allowing something, giving access away, giving us data away, etc. And we really can see that the most useful or the most easiest successful tactics from hackers that are still being used is malware, phishing, and ransomware. And you might wonder how many people do actually click on these. So just to give you a quick glance, 1 in 3 users tend to click on harmful phishing content, and every second of those also tend to give away sensitive information, example, giving it away in a fake login page. So why do we have these high numbers, really, right? So I just showed you one case of lapsus, but what is really the classic modus operandi of these hackers is that they use a lot of very famous or very known topics that demand more information, or where we want more information because we're humans. So in a nutshell, they try to find an element or information that resonates with the biggest possible audience. So something from the news is the easiest one to get. And if the news think this is relevant and publish something about it, then many people will want to read about it and will want to have more information about it. So by combining this, hackers can very easily always find up-to-date topics that you cannot really prepare for that much as to do in terms of protecting your employees. And just find a way into the systems and also finding the attention really of the end users. And I could go for like 2 hours on other tactics as well, but I invite you to simply have a look at our human risk review. All the information I just presented are there also again, also some interviews from some colleagues from some other CISOs. So I invite you to take a read and maybe let me jump quickly to NIS2 regulation and how does this really match. So as Muhammad already mentioned, which companies are really affected by it and what does it mean if you're essential important. I will not go too deep in it, but also we have some colleagues who are lawyers in here, so I'll leave the space to them to go into detail. But what is clear is that every essential and important industry or company who is classified in one of these industries will have to do security awareness. The question really though is to what extent. And from this too, we can see I basically just went through the whole legislation and tried to find points where they ask for security awareness. And you can see that, for example, in Chapter 4, management bodies of essential and important entities will be required to follow training, but also offer similar training to their employees on a regular basis. There's many elements, and what really is clear from it, you will have to do security awareness. You will also have to report on the status of it. So meaning you will have to be able to draw and prove information that this training has been done. It will affect most likely all employees, and it's a directive, so it's more like a baseline, right, to regulation, and we will have to see what comes into force into every country in Europe. But what is for sure is that the legislation will not be looser than it is in the NIS2 Directive, but quite the opposite. It could be even stricter. And that's it already my part. If you have any questions, feel free to scan a QR code, add me on LinkedIn. If you have any questions, feel free, but also I haven't had a look at the chat. If there's any questions, happy to answer them as well. And otherwise I'll give over back to the moderation. Muhammad, thank you so much for the stage.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Florestan. Really appreciate it. And it's also really interesting topics as well for that. And as always, you can already ask the questions later on in the chat, basically, for that, if you would like to do so as well. And then we'll have the Q&A session at the end of after all the speakers are already presenting their talks. Yeah. So now, without further ado, we have the second speaker, Stefan Hessel from reuschlaw, who's going to be talking about legal and compliance. So, Stefan, over to you.
Yes, thank you very much. I hope you can see my presentation. So great, this is working. Welcome from my side. My name is Stefan Hessel. I'm an attorney at law, and I'm happy to give you a short introduction about the NIS2 Directive and the legal aspects of the NIS2 Directive. For the agenda, maybe you can switch to the agenda slide. Yes, for the agenda in the next few minutes, I have a short overview about cybersecurity and law, and the NIS2 Directive in special, and also the question how does NIS2 Directive affect the legal aspects of cybersecurity, especially supply chain and contract design. And at the end, I will give you a short overview about the best practices from a legal perspective. But from the beginning, how is the relationship between cybersecurity and law, and do we have two unequal sisters? So at the moment, we have a very dynamic threat landscape. We have rising digitization and connectivity in companies, and also as well in products. So digitization is becoming a bigger topic. And with digitization, we are also increasing risks of cybersecurity incidents. For example, in the last year, we had over 27,000 vulnerabilities in Germany. And on the other side, we have a very static regulatory landscape. We have more than 0 legislative requirements for cybersecurity, but in the current situation, the law isn't able to mitigate the cybersecurity risks, so the enforcement is not strong. Seems to be not strong enough. And because of this, the European Commission decided to have a new European cybersecurity architecture. We have on the one side the NIS2 Directive as a company-related requirement. It's already entered into force, as we heard at the beginning of our webinar, and the member states need to applicate it until 18th October next year. On the other side, we have for the product level, the Cyber Resilience Act. This is not the topic today, but I think it's important. We do not only have requirements for companies, we also will have requirements for digital products. So we have really a huge impact or a huge movement in cybersecurity law at the moment. Cyber Resilience Act is still in draft version. Maybe we'll have a final version at the end of the year. But back to the NIS2 Directive, as we already heard, we have many companies affected. In Germany, up to 40,000 companies. Most of companies are still not aware they are affected by the NIS2 Directive. What are the key obligations for essential and important entities? There is no difference in the NIS2 Directive. The difference between essential and important entities is relevant for fines, for example, and also the powers of the authorities. We have the first obligation is governance by the management bodies. So the management bodies need to take care about the implementation of the NIS2 Directive and also for all cybersecurity questions or the cybersecurity management in the company. So cybersecurity is a management duty. Second, companies need to have awareness for cybersecurity at all levels. So that's something Florestan already mentioned. Now you have the obligation to have some kind of awareness training for in your company for all employees you have. Third, that's the core piece of the NIS2 Directive. There's an obligation for cybersecurity risk management. You need to take state-of-the-art measures for risks regarding cybersecurity. There is a catalog of technical measures in the NIS2 Directive which companies have to implement. Then you have reporting obligations. That's more a legal topic. If you have a significant security incident, you need to inform the supervisory authorities and give them information about the incident. Last point, supply chain cybersecurity. I think that's also a very interesting topic because in the past, cybersecurity requirements for companies mostly affected the companies themselves. And now with NIS2, we have a situation where the regulation says you must not only look at your company, you also must look at cybersecurity in the supply chain. And now in this situation, you need to you have this dependency. You have to talk with your suppliers. You have to talk with your providers about cybersecurity and mitigate also supply chain risks. That's something totally new from a legal perspective. Of course, not from an IT perspective, but from a legal perspective, it's a new obligation in this field. We have very strong authority powers and sanctions in the NIS2 Directive. The authorities, it's like in the GDPR, have broad inspection powers. They can have on-site inspections. They can perform security audits. They can give you instructions or orders regarding cybersecurity, and also they have very strong there are very strong or hard sanction measures. They can be fines up to 10 million euro or 2% of the annual turnover, whichever is greater. There's a possibility to have some temporary exclusion from management from its duties in case the authority thinks the management isn't able to deal with some kind of cybersecurity incident, for example. And you can also have a public warning about the company or a specific product. In Germany, we had this in the past with the Kaspersky antivirus software, where our Federal Cybersecurity Agency stated in public, this is an unsafe product, remove this from your company. So that's also a possibility of also a possibility for authorities to enforce the NIS2 directive. But now, from possible fines to the question, how does the new cybersecurity law affect contract drafting and contract design? So it's not only about fines, it's also about positive implementation in law. And why do you need a security update in IT contracts? I think we have 3 reasons. First, we have some kind of legislation of cybersecurity. So with NIS2 and also with the Cyber Resilience Act, we see more and more regulations for cybersecurity coming up. Second, you have authorities as independent control bodies for cybersecurity. So there is a law, and there is someone trying to enforce this law, and that's a totally different situation as we have it in the moment, where many legal aspects of cybersecurity are a discussion between 2 companies and not between the state and a company. Third, you will have the questions regarding cybersecurity insurance. At the moment, insurers are tightening their requirements for cybersecurity questions, so also the insurance aspects will play a role. What can you do in practice to implement? For example, here something for cyber risk assessment. You need to have a cyber risk assessment under the NIS2 directive, and of course you need information from your suppliers and providers to perform this risk assessment. So maybe you would write in a contract, the supplier has to provide the manufacturer with all the information necessary for the manufacturer to assess the risks associated with the product or associated with the service. As a minimum, the following information must be provided, and then you would have a list with detailed information you need to perform your risk assessment. If you don't have this clause in your contract, you're unable to perform your risk assessment if you don't get the information. Second example, incident response readiness. In the event of cybersecurity incidents, the supplier will promptly notify the customer in electronic form and provide ongoing information regarding detection, remediation, and information activities. So an up-to-date information about cybersecurity risk incident is absolutely mandatory for you as a company to comply with your notification obligations regarding the authorities, but also you need to have you need this information for your own risk management. So again, here you would have a detailed list of information you need in case, and the supplier will cooperate with relevant regulatory authorities. So it's possible that you are affected by the NIS2 directive, and an authority can perform or can take measures against you, but not against the supplier, because the supplier isn't affected by NIS2. In this case, you would have some kind of clause like this to also give the authority the possibility to talk directly to your supplier. At the end, what is the best practice from a lawyer's perspective? You need some cybersecurity compliance management. You need to check your effectiveness in the first step. You need to derive specifications for technology, organization, and processes. You need an implementation. You need to perform this risk assessment. You need to take corrective measures. For example, if you don't have an awareness program, you need to introduce one. You need, and this is also very important, documentation. And the documentation is not only for your internal processes. The documentation is in the future one core piece to prove compliance regarding the authorities, but courts as well. So the documentation for cybersecurity measures will be much more important than it is today. And at the end, you need some monitoring process. You need to keep a look at your internal processes and as well as your business model. If you are in a new sector because you provide a new product, that could be lead to an application of the NIS2 directive. And of course, the legal situation can change not only on the regulatory level, but we will also see some kind of court decisions in the future. We will have recommendations from the authorities. So it's very important to have some kind of cybersecurity compliance management. So that's from my side. Back to moderation.
Yeah. Then thank you very much, Stefan, for the interesting talk as well of the needs to preparedness as well from the legal and compliance side. And finally, we have Alexandru, who's going to be talking as
Yes.
well for from the cloud security perspective.
Hello.
Hello.
Just 1 second. Do you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you just
Okay,
fine.
perfect. Perfect. Just
You can
one
hear me?
second to find the presentation to share it.
All right. Over to you, Alex.
Yeah. Thank you. 1 second. Sorry about that. Okay. So I assume you can see my screen, right? Still.
Yes.
Okay. So thank you, Florestan and Stefan, for the insights that you provided about the NIS2 directive. Now I will try to take this subject and move it in the cloud to see what actually means NIS2 for companies that have IT assets in the cloud. My name is Alexandru Vleju, and I'm an Azure Cloud Engineer at Adesso Netherlands. For those who don't know, Adesso Netherlands is part of Adesso SE Group, one of the Germany's largest IT service providers, which, by the way, expects sales of over 1 billion euros this year. So, about the NIS2 and the cloud, we saw that one of the vital sector is digital infrastructure. So this includes cloud providers like Azure, AWS, or Google Cloud, and of course also the small ones. So under the NIS2 directive, cloud providers are identified as entities that play a critical role in maintaining the security and resilience of network and information system within the European Union. But what about my cloud-only environment that is running on Azure, on AWS, for example? Should I still apply NIS2 if the cloud provider is already NIS2 compliant? So please don't fall into this trap. Why? Because I sometimes still hear people saying that it's not their job to secure the cloud, as it's already this is already taken care by the cloud provider, which is not true. So let's don't forget about the security shared responsibility model, because while cloud providers are responsible for securing their infrastructure, like for example the data center, the network, their hardware, their clients are responsible for securing their own data, the applications, and managing, for example, the access controls. So even if the cloud infrastructure is compliant, you must ensure that your use of cloud services also aligns with the NIS2 requirements. So you are not safe if you have a cloud-only environment. But there are some good news, though, and I will talk about them in the next slide. So, for example, let's see what are the main differences. For example, to apply NIS2 for a cloud-only environment compared to applying on an on-prem environment. So first is the for the cloud only is the shared responsibility. So in cloud only environments, security is somehow shared between the cloud provider and the client. So the provider is responsible for securing their cloud infrastructure, I mean their own assets, while you are responsible for securing your own data, application, your user accounts. Also, regarding the compliance focus, you need to focus to ensure that you use the cloud services compliant with NIS2, such as the data protection, the access controls, or the application security. But there is also partially, this is also taken care by the cloud provider, because they need to be compliance with NIS2 for their infrastructure security. So reducing somehow the direct burden for you on these aspects. Regarding the on-premises environment, here things get a bit more complicated because you have the full responsibility for securing your IT infrastructure, and this will include physical security, network security, hardware security, applications, and also data. So you have a lot more work to do, and you will get some burden on the compliance that you apply. So this will be, I guess, it will be a bit more resource intensive if you need to apply the NIS2 for your on-prem environment. Of course, there is a good part here, I guess, because you will have more control and customization, and you will be able to tailor the solutions, the security solution for your specific needs. So we can say that it's definitely more easy to implement NIS2 into cloud-only environments, especially because of the shared responsibility model. So to be more precise in our discussion, what you need to do to implement NIS2. Most of the things were already mentioned, but I will go again through them because repetition, I think it's good. So first, I think companies need to develop a comprehensive risk management framework. This is also stated in the NIS2 Directive, and it involves identifying potential security risk, assessing their impact, and implementing measures to mitigate them. In cloud environments, this includes considering cloud-specific risk, for example, for the data breaches, for insecure APIs, or for service outages. So if you want to start, I advise you that mapping your network and information system will be like a first step. This will involve understanding all your assets, how they are connected, and what data they process. There are also tools in the cloud environments that can help you to achieve that, to get a comprehensive inventory of your digital infrastructure. So I think in cloud environments, it's a bit more easy to do it. Once you have a clear map, the next step is risk identification and analysis. This means evaluating the potential vulnerabilities and threats, vectors specific to your organization's infrastructure and operations. For the cloud environments, this is related, for example, for aspects like data storage locations, access controls, and third-party integrations. Also, developing a robust business continuity plan and crisis management protocol it's very important. This plan should detail how your organization will maintain critical functions and recover from cyber incidents, including data breaches or system failures. In the context of supply chain security, it's important to identify alternative suppliers and backup resources. This will help to ensure continuity and reduce dependencies on single point of failure in your supply chain. Also, regular assessments to determine the effectiveness of cybersecurity risk management is very, very important. Continuous evaluation is vital to ensure that the security measures that you implement remain effective against evolving threats and align with the latest standard, also as Florestan mentioned. And I think here you have the tool from Mitigant that you can use to do that. Also, another key preparatory step is to raise the staff awareness about security risk and necessary measures. Regular training and awareness program are crucial because human error often plays a significant role in security breaches. This includes training for cloud-specific security practices. So you need to adapt those in case you are talking about cloud-only environments. Also, organizing the incident response is very important. It's a critical component of the crisis management. It's also mentioned in the directive. So it includes having a dedicated response team. You need to have clear communication channels and predefined procedures for different type of incidents, because you have the responsibility to announce those within 24 hours and the 72 hours. You need to have that extensive report. So it's important to have some people or a team that can handle this. Also, regular drills and simulation can help you in preparing the team for actual events like incidents. So if you want to find out more about how adesso can help you or support your business, please go to this link and find more if you are interested. So that is everything from my side. Of course, there are many aspects to mention, but only in 10 minutes it's not that easy to do it. So Ishan, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Alex. I really appreciate it. And yeah, so that concludes our talks from our speakers. I think Alex, if you can stop sharing.
Yes, 1 second.
So yeah, thank you very much. And I just would like to mention as well at the end of that is that we as a from Mitigant, SoSafe and adesso, we offer special our webinar attendees as well. So from Mitigant, we have a 10% discount. You can also get 10% discount for SoSafe with the code Mitigant. And as well, if you would like to, if you like to check if companies is going to be affected by NIS2 Directive, you can go to the reuschlaw website at nis2-check.be. And for us, and we will also the presentations which for webinars as well. If you are not too sure if you are already registering for it, you can also put your email address in the chat, and we'll see you later on for that. Right. And yeah, so then I will stop sharing as well.